Hi everyone, welcome to X's and O's with LeRoy Butler, and we're going to go to the Dallas game and show you sort of a, the breakdown of how that Sam Shields interception, which really turned the game around into the Packers' favor, happened, and sort of the background to that. And really what we found was that the Cowboys tried to run this play. They did run this play earlier in the game, and we'll show you what they did with it first. Basically what you have is semi-bunch formation with two tight ends here. You got Miles Austin, and then you got Dez Bryant over here, and the Packers are in their base defense. And so what happened, you start out, and Tony Romo's here, and DeMarco Murray here, and this guy goes in motion, and he's now over there, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you go ahead and show this is a running play.
So he comes in motion time. His job is to seal off the backside so nobody can chase you down out of LT.
Right.
So he cuts him off. But now, here's a problem. Remember the 41-yarder real quick that DeMarco Murray had right in the A-gap?
Yeah.
And it was, I think the Packers got to adjust their alignment. When you have the nose guard Pickett, or it doesn't matter who it is, if he's turned, or Mike Daniels, they gives up that A-gap, and they were able to run that long pass. Even in this particular formation, when the motion comes over, sometimes you have to slide over. But in this particular case, all the gaps were pretty much covered here, and the linebackers can flow. But Jolly, and the reason why we got him in red right here, he did not have a good takeoff, and he was driven about 5 yards down.
Yeah,
and guess what? A.J. Hawk couldn't go across, so he had to belly back deeper. Now these guys are just going to come and block.
Yeah, this guy blocked Perry, and this guy came down here.
And now you got your 8-man front guy coming down, and he's walled off. And they ran what we call a stretch play, and DeMarco Murray ran the ball down in here. And you're thinking, once you get this block defeated, these guys are just walled off, and it's just a chase fest.
Right. So it was an 11-yard gain, and this was like in the first quarter.
Right.
So now we go back, and we're now in the final couple minutes of the game.
Right.
And the Packers need to get the ball back. And so they have a little bit different personnel, and they see this formation again. And so the guy lines up here. And exact same formation, Dez Bryant over here. This time, they've seen it before. They need to stop the run. So Burnett's up here, and
Richardson
is right there. And I mean, they are loaded on this side, right?
No
way is DeMarco Murray running to this side. Okay, so what does Tony Romo see, and what does he do?
The first thing you look up and see that, first of all, it's a run called. It's a run call. It's a smoke call, just like every team runs it. If you got this many people walled off here, that odds off, and then even in the book, your playbook, it says throw the slant backside. But the problem is, when you got so many guys in here and the magnitude of the game, maybe you should have kept the run on. Or he's thinking, I got Austin and Dez Bryant, two big receivers on Sam Shields. I'm going to take my chances.
Yeah.
But they didn't bring this guy in motion.
Right. So we're watching the replay, and Romo looks up and he puts his hand out and says, stay there. Don't go in motion this time. Because he's looking at all of this and he's going, there's no way this run is going to work.
Right. And he actually may have been right. But the problem was when the action came, he reversed out. Matthews was right in his face. So now, what happened was,
almost sacked him, and lucky he didn't sack him. Yeah.
Right. And Miles Austin, actually it was Miles Austin, he put a move on Shields.
It was Dez.
It was Dez Bryant. Okay, he put a move on Shields, and Shields, he was being patient. So he created a gap. So if he could have threw it on time, it would have been a big play. But by Matthews taking the first window away when Romo reversed out, Shields closed that gap, interception, ball game for the Packers.
Right, and you pointed out that this is a cover zero because he's actually filling the run.
Yes.
There is nobody there.
It's over.
If he leads Dez Bryant, he kind of threw it behind. I mean, if he leads it, he should put it right here where either Dez Bryant gets it or nobody gets it, right?
Or just take a second and, you got another chance to line up.
Yeah.
Again, if you see 10 guys over here, in your playbook it said, hey, run a smoke, run a slant backside. Because the Packers do the same thing. How many times you see Rodgers come back and just throw it out there?
Exactly.
So But again, the coaches could tell you, just leave it on. We're just trying to eat the clock up.
Right.
You know, just try to be conservative. But that's one time you have to save a player from himself.
Right.
You know,
right.
sometimes we're just going to leave it on. But that's a great interception.
Yeah,
It was able to-
and interesting that it, you know, how the whole thing unfolded.
Yes.
This
Yep.
is sort of the genesis of how that interception happened. So next we are going to look at dangerous play that the Steelers are sure to
Yep.
run against the Packers. Okay, now we saw this play against the Cincinnati Bengals. Pittsburgh ran this. It's very similar to plays that the Bears ran against the
Yep,
Packers. So
absolutely.
we're sure to see this, I would think,
Yes.
against the Packers. I'll leave it to you. They've got a, you know, sort of a bunch formation over here, and this is Cincinnati, and they've got it played with their base defense.
And Cincinnati is a very good defense. I mean, they all chase the ball. Pittsburgh will probably run 9, 10 screen passes. If you're not hustling, it could be a big play because it's a few ways that they get to it. They can actually throw it out here, and these guys will go down and block, and they'll just let these linemen come. They won't even block them. They
Right.
may cut
They may
the
cut
defensive
that
end.
guy,
They may
right.
cut it and get him down. Now these linebackers have to chase. But in this particular thing, Tom, right here, Sanders, he comes back, he bellies back, what we call it. He bellies back, and Ben throws him the football. Now, the only way you can take this play away, whoever the guy is on the ball, he needs to be in bump and run right up on the line, smash mouth, bump and run. That takes away one guy from blocking. So you control that guy.
Because what happens is they came up here, they came up
Right.
here, then this guy released and came up and got that
See,
guy.
that's what they want to do. He comes here, he comes there, blocks him, and now you're man-to-man on a safety. But these linemen, all these guys coming down, they'll be coming out, getting in the way of the linebackers. Next thing you know, you cut back, you can have a big play. And it's all a big deception thing with a screen. And again, they let these linemen just come through. So if it's a blitz, they'll just let everybody go through and throw it out here. It could be a touchdown.
Right.
Now, what we used to do back in the early 90s, anytime they had a bunch, 3 guys together, you make a call. We used to make, since it was a bunch, and it was what we call a spaghetti look, we used to call a pasta. That would put, you know, your guy on bump and run, that's your man, man-to-man. You got a guy, first guy deep, he's your guy, first guy deep in the outside, inside out. These are your guys. Now, whoever the linebackers are, you're free to flow to the ball. You have no responsibility. You're free to go flow to the ball. But the only problem is, if they continue to run a draw play or something, and you take off, it's a big play.
Right.
Pittsburgh is going to throw the kitchen sink because they still have a chance.
Right.
But they're going to run so many screens, Tom. And we even saw one, Le'Veon Bell, that can go for a long ways because they do it backside,
In
too.
that case, they faked the end around.
Yep.
You know, so he faked that, looked over here, and then came back and threw to
And it was
Le'Veon Bell right there.
it's a big play, but it started to confuse these guys.
Yeah.
So Brad Jones, A.J. Hawk, they got to be ready to
So bottom line, this guy has to take this guy out
Yep.
so the other guys can come and make the
go
play.
through. There's no pick plays if you take this guy here out. You have to engage him, and that'll be Michael Hyde.
That'll be Micah Hyde, right?
Yeah, engage him, get rid of him. Now your guys can free flow to the ball. That'll stop any of the screens. If this guy whips Hyde, he had a 2-way go, and it could be a big play.
Big play, yeah. And we saw Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall just dominate
Yes.
the Packers
Yes.
doing that. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see.
And I
what
think
they-
they'll learn from it. And it's one of the plays the Packers will be able to see on film and know how to defend it.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week after the Pittsburgh game.